Hi everyone, and welcome to Going Over Wrestling with me, your host Ross. Going to be discussing Day 1 of the New Japan Cup 2014, which took place on the 15th of March 2014. So the show starts off with the announcers really putting over the idea that the winner of this tournament gets the choice between challenging for the Intercontinental Championship or the IWGP Heavyweight belt. Okay, so this is the first time the winner's got a choice between the two, so really pushing both belts here. Obviously, considering the fact that Tanahashi has the Intercontinental Championship, that's a fairly important belt, you know. So the opening match of the tournament then is Shelton Benjamin against Takahashi. Okay, so Takahashi's sexy man gimmick is in full effect here. You know, he's coming out with the towel wrapped around his waist, you know, he's flirting with the female fans on his way to the ring, just all round being one sexy man. So the match itself was a fairly simple affair, plenty of stalling for Takahashi, you know, to do his taunts to the crowd. We get a lovely double-armed delayed suplex by Shelton Benjamin. So Shelton Benjamin picks up the win with paid up. So if you've not actually seen the paid up move, it's a reverse STO. Gets the 1, 2, 3 and he progresses to the next round. Takahashi is out. Overall, it was a decent opener. So next up we've got Suzuki versus Yano. This is actually the third meeting between the two since day 9 of the G1 Climax in 2013 in August. And then they met again at the September pay-per-view, Destruction. Okay, so the last meeting between the two, Yano picked up the win by handcuffing Suzuki to the guardrail on the outside of the ring and winning by count out. Yano is trolling like a boss as he usually does throughout the match, you know, so he's rolling outside the ring as Suzuki comes out to get him, he's rolling back in, that sort of stuff. But Suzuki finally catches him, both men on the outside. Suzuki goes to roll back into the ring but fakes him out, and Yano stays on the outside and Suzuki finally gets his hands on him, starts working him over on the outside of the ring. Taichi helps in with working over Yano on the outside until the ref finally ejects Taichi. There's some more comedy spots in the match when Suzuki goes to sink in a sleeper hold to Yano, but Yano ends up grabbing the referee and pulls the referee into the middle of the sleeper hold, so Suzuki has to let go of the sleeper hold to free the ref up from Yano's clutches. But no bother, because Suzuki finally picks up the win with a modified roll up. After the bell, he works Yano over with a chair. You know, this is just sort of getting retribution since the last time they met. Overall, fun match. Yeah, Suzuki's through to the next round. Okay, so the third match of the night then is Shibata versus Bullet Club's Carl Anderson. Carl is accompanied to the ring by Tama Tonga here. Okay, so as expected from a Shibata match, it's pretty stiff on Shibata's part here. There is one spot in the match where Carl is sitting down and taking some kicks from Shibata. One of the kicks he lands on the chest is pretty sore looking, and for the rest of the match, Carl is starting to get a welt forming on his chest here. We get some nice offense from Carl. Carl hits a lovely looking single-legged dropkick to Shibata's face. He also hits a running sit-down powerbomb for a very near fall. Tama Tonga is starting to run interference in the match. Towards the end of the match, he's up on the apron trying to cause a distraction, but Shibata hits him with a running boot to the face to take him out. For me, he's taken it a bit too easy. So the end of the match comes then when Shibata slaps on an octopus stretch and makes Carl tap out. Overall, it's a decent match, yeah, but it's stiff on Shibata's part, but that is what we expect from him. So up next is another member of Bullet Club and Carl's tag team partner, Doc Gallows, versus Goto, as Doc Gallows is making his way to the ring. He's got the Bullet Club bandana tied around his face. He just looks quite badass with that bandana around the face, I must admit. Considering his work in America left a lot to be desired in my eyes. I wasn't really a fan. I suppose it was sort of tainted with the Aces and 8 gimmicks though, I suppose. Maybe I'm being too hard on him, you know. I've liked his work here in Japan, especially his work during the World Tag League with Carl Anderson. So in the match itself, Hiroki Goto hits a very clean looking plancha. Doc Gallows hits a big clothesline on Goto, which he sells by doing a backflip, you know, so it looks like he gets his full power behind it. Goto actually gets, you know, a lucky win with a roll-up after Doc Gallows misses a big splash. So with Goto picking up the win with a roll-up, you know, a sort of lucky pin, doesn't really hurt Doc all that much, I wouldn't say, because you can obviously play it off as a lucky win. But post-match though, Doc is furious and he takes his frustration out with a punch to one of the young Latins at ringside, and he starts throwing some chairs about. So next up we get a non-tournament 6-man tag here between Tanahashi, El Desperado and Kota Ibushi versus Chaos members Okada, Jado and Gaido. So before the bell, we get a stare down in the middle of the ring between Tanahashi and Okada. Both men have their respective belts around their waist. So Tanahashi has the Intercontinental belt, Okada the IWGP belt. So they're both doing their poses with their arms out, and the fans are popping crazy for this. So there's a spot near the start of the match when Jado gets tagged in. Ibushi is already in the ring. The fans are chanting for Ibushi. Jado starts healing out about this, gets out of the ring and starts doing one of the storm out spots. As he's making his way backstage, the fans start chanting for Jado, and Okada comes down, taps him in the shoulder, does the hand round the ear, you know, listen to what they're saying, listen to what they're saying. Finally we get Okada giving Jado a hug. The fans are still chanting for Jado, so Jado comes back. So him and Ibushi do some nice exchanges, with Ibushi hitting his standing moonsault. I've got to say, Ibushi's standing moonsault is still one of the most impressive standing moonsaults I've seen. There's another spot where Ibushi is charging Jado. Jado slaps on a front face lock, so it's like he charges in, front face lock, swings him round so his legs are on the top rope, and hits a lovely draping DDT. That is a really impressive spot. So we get a double tag spot, which brings Tanahashi and Okada into the ring, and right away Tanahashi is working fast here, working Okada over with punches and kicks, and he hits a lovely flip senton from the second rope. Okada goes for the Rainmaker on Tanahashi, but Tanahashi ducks it, bounces off the ropes, and straight into the sling blade. So towards the end of the match, Gaido and El Desperado are the legal men. Tanahashi hits a running senton flip from the apron to Okada, and Ibushi on the other side of the ring does the spot where he runs across the ring, jumps over the top rope at the turnbuckles with his feet landing on the sort of stanchion for the second rope, and then does his moonsault backwards onto Jado on the outside. Meanwhile, in the ring, El Desperado picks up Gaido and hits him with an over-the-shoulder driver for the win. After the match, as Tanahashi, El Desperado and Ibushi are celebrating their win, Okada climbs up onto the apron and Tanahashi goes over to the ropes to sort of do another stare down with him. Both men are talking here, but I can't pick up what they're saying on the camera mics here, but both men stare at each other's belts and sort of just nod in agreement, kind of just continuing the feud that both men have. You know, it's been one of the best feuds in recent memory anyway, not just in New Japan but for me in wrestling in general. Be interesting where they see where they can go from this, because the stipulation still stands that Tanahashi put down last year, that if he didn't beat Okada for the IWGP heavyweight belt, he wouldn't challenge again as long as Okada is champion. Be interesting to see how this develops, I must say. Overall, the six-man tag was a good match, you know, with all six men getting a chance to do some of their spots in the ring. I like this match. So during the intermission here, we get a interview spot from Naito. It's interesting to see what they're doing with Naito, you know, because obviously they didn't get the reaction they expected when he won G1 last year. And then of course his match at Wrestle Kingdom, you know, when they did the public vote for who the fans wanted to be in the main event, him versus Okada for IWGP or Nakamura against Tanahashi for the Intercontinental, the fans chose Tanahashi, so that match went on last. So it's kind of showing you that the fans aren't really 100% behind Naito, so it'll be interesting to see how it develops. Personally, I don't have a problem with Naito. I think he's a great worker. So after the intermission, the first match we have is Lance Archer versus Prince Devitt. So Lance Archer is out first here. When Devitt's music hits, it's actually Tama Tonga that comes out and starts trash talking Lance Archer from the outside of the ring, which allows Devitt to sneak in and start working Archer over with a chair. So they brawl to the outside and Devitt actually charges Lance Archer with the chair, but Lance Archer manages to capitalise by punching the chair into Devitt's face. So while they're brawling on the outside, Lance Archer grabs Devitt and throws him over the guardrail into Nagata, who's actually doing guest commentary for the night. After that, we get a gorilla press from Lance Archer onto the guardrail. Immediately Devitt starts clutching at his side. It looks like he may have picked up a pretty sore one here, because he's not selling, you know, whenever he's supposed to be selling some other injuries, he goes right back to holding his side here, so I hope it's nothing too serious. So we get a spot where Prince Devitt goes for Bloody Sunday, but it is blocked. Archer's attempt at going for Blackout is also blocked by Devitt wriggling out of it. So the ending sequence comes when Lance Archer goes for a moonsault, but Devitt manages to roll out of the way, immediately going to the top rope for the two-footed stomp, and then hits Bloody Sunday for the 3 count. So Devitt progresses to the next round. So I'm quite glad that Prince Devitt picks up the win here, as he's one of my favourite wrestlers, you know, at the moment. So the next match on the card is Bad Luck Fale against Togi Makabe. So this is continuing the feud that, you know, that was going on at the tail end of last year, the start of this year. So Togi Makabe actually kicks out of the choke lariat slam that Bad Luck Fale does. There's nothing else to the match, you know, the match is sort of a solid match. It's hiding Bad Luck Fale's shortcomings, as it were. I mean, that might be a bit harsh on Fale, but you know, he's the usual big guy. He's not really got much behind him, you know, on the sort of wrestling side of things. I might be wrong. He might have a 5-star match in him at some point, you know, but I don't see one coming, especially not with Makabe when they're both working the tough man gimmick here. But I was actually thinking we were going to get a schmoz finish like we did at Wrestle Kingdom, but we don't. Bad Luck hits the Bad Luck Fall, which is a crucifix powerbomb. He actually delays it before hitting it, which makes it look that bit more impressive. Bad Luck Fale gets the 1-2-3 and progresses to the next round. The next match on the card is Naito versus Ishii, who has the Never belt with him. Right off the bat, I noticed that Naito was getting cheered, so maybe the fans haven't turned on him after all. Well, certainly not the fans at this event anyway. So we get lots of the trading forearms, spots in this match. You know, it seems to be their go-to spot. Some pretty stiff stuff from them with the forearms combined with the chop spots that they're doing. We get a lovely delayed brainbuster though from the second rope by Ishii onto Naito for a very near fall. So the ending comes when Naito hits a high angled dragon suplex on Ishii, but Ishii kicks out, you know, with the last possible second kicks out. He's still down, still selling the dragon suplex. So while he's still on the mat, Naito heads to the top rope and hits the Stardust press for the win. This is a great match and the fans are fully behind Naito towards the end of the match here. So the main event of the night and the final match of the first round of the New Japan Cup is Davey Boy Smith Jr. versus Nakamura Shinsuke. So as the match starts out, you know, they brawl to the outside, they're trading punches with each other, and Shinsuke gets up onto the apron and hits a running knee to Smith's face. But Smith finally gets the upper hand, and actually, to be honest with you, Smith has got the upper hand for most of the match here. Also at one point, Davey Boy Smith slaps on the sharpshooter. I think he's trying to humble Nakamura, try to get Nakamura to tap out here, but you know, it's not going to happen. We get a really nice spot when Smith goes for a powerbomb. Naka escapes the powerbomb attempt and slaps on a flying cross arm breaker. Very, very impressive indeed. Smith manages to get out of the cross arm breaker, but as he's trying to get to his feet, so he's sort of still on his hands and knees, Nakamura hits a Bomaye to the back of the head, leaving Davey Boy quite dazed. As he's trying to get back up to his feet again, he gets the Bomaye to the front and Nakamura goes for the pin. 1, 2, and no! Davey kicks out, but just as Davey's trying to get up, we get a third and final Bomaye for the 1, 2, 3. Your winner and progressing to the next round, Nakamura Shinsuke. Smith getting put over strong here with getting much of the offense for the match and it taking 3 Bomayes to put him away. So overall, as far as day 1 of the New Japan Cup goes, I thought it was a pretty good opening day to a tournament, and the quarterfinals are shaping up nicely here. Bad Luck Fale against Naito, Shelton Benjamin versus Shibata, Goto against Suzuki, and Nakamura versus Devitt, which is the match I'm most looking forward to as I'm a big fan of both guys. So yeah, decent opening day to the tournament. My pick for match of the night has got to be Davey Boy Smith Jr. against Nakamura, closely followed by the 6-man tag. And my least favourite match of the night then would probably go to Bad Luck Fale against Togi Makabe. So that's going to do it for this episode then. Thanks for listening. See you later.